get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be, life with no distractions. We'll get away, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out. Die with my own doubts. Be free with me. Let's go, let's be free with me. Not looking back, eyes on the freeway, Bonnie and Clyde, a classic cliche. We're on the run, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out. Die with my own doubts. Be free.
Lightning strikes by my window, hits my chest right in the morning, like a warning. Could have slept here for days. I felt your heartbeat, felt your mouth breathe, but it's not real. We were close to see the sun, but clouds got in our way, and so
Well, hello everybody. Welcome to One Word tonight. We did have a little technical difficulty, and so for those of you who maybe tried to connect to my personal Facebook page, for some reason it's not connecting. But if you're watching, I don't know why I'm telling you if you can't connect, because if you can't connect, you're not here. But that's a blind spot, right? But hopefully if you checked out that page, you jumped over to YouTube or the Discover Blind Spots Facebook page. And sorry if you had some issues with that. I don't know if that's going to affect our comments tonight or not, but hey, we're going to roll, and I am excited. As I said, this is one word every night, every Sunday night. We come together and we talk about one word for the week, one word that might I've used the words of making us a better leader, but sometimes there are those of us who might say, "Well, I'm not leading anybody." But I love to call leadership influence, and if you have a chance to influence somebody, which I think we all do, then you are a leader. And so, one word is a time that, in all this craziness of the world, we carve it down to one word that we focus on for the week and try to simplify. Might make us a better person, better leader, better parent, better spouse, just a better person to live with. And so tonight I'm excited because I have a good friend of mine, and I'm going to bring him on and welcome Fil Anderson. Phil, welcome. It's good to have you. Thanks for being with us tonight.
Thank you, Tim. Great to be with you.
Yeah, I want to introduce Phil. I told him I'd make up some nice things to say, but I don't have to make it up. He's pretty easy to talk about. Phil has been a spiritual mentor of mine for a long time, a long time. When I was way back doing my seminary work, Phil, I was in one class. I was asked to find a spiritual mentor. Didn't know where to turn. Knew of Phil. We began meeting. We soon became great friends, and that friendship we had a period of time where we worked together. Then we had a period of time where we wrote a book together. The book Blind Spots: What You Don't See Can Hurt You. So he honored me by being a co-author with me on that book. And so this week, at the end of the week, I said, "Hey Phil, would you mind coming on, being a special guest?" And so I welcome you. I'm going to turn it over to you, and you can share the word. And the floor is yours, and I'll sit over here and pay attention. I might interrupt every now and then, but I'll turn it over to you, Phil.
Thanks, Tim. I want to say again how glad I am to be with you. It's been one of the great privileges and sources of joy and really deep meaning to be together with you around a lot of different occasions. Some of them occasions where we were mad, and sometimes we were sad, and other times we were glad. And I don't discount any of those, and really cherish the friendship. And I've already begun to hint at the word that I have had on my mind, as I told you yesterday, for several months now. The word is together. There's a phrase that I haven't really been tracking this. I haven't been keeping score, but I can't imagine that there's been a day in the last 6 months when I haven't heard someone say, I wish we could be together. I miss being together. I need to be together. I got to spend a couple of days with my 92-year-old mom at her beach house a few weeks ago. We wore masks the whole time we were together. And every day since, when I've talked with her, she's said to me again, I just wish we could be together. humans are social creatures. And it's no wonder when you think about the fact that we are made in the image of God. And God, I think, is the most relational being in the world. Is so relational that even God is in three persons, not one. And so even at creation, there's this more than a hint of togetherness. God says, "Let us make humans in our image," and so it's in our DNA. It's innate, and especially our desire to connect, which is a bit of a conundrum because we're the most well-connected people who've ever lived. We've got, we've got more connectivity, and yet I wonder if we're not more lonely now than ever before. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that we don't always live close together. Families get spread out. And I don't want to bring a tear to your eye, Tim, but I know you took your youngest off to college this weekend and you're no longer together.
Yeah, you're right, and we did that, and that was there's always these seasons, and sometimes we enjoy seasons where we have some solitude. But
Sure.
I'll be honest with you, we dropped Ella yesterday, and then we were also moving Carly this weekend too from one place to the other, and so Stacy stayed there, and she came back today. So last night I came back with Fletcher and Selena were helping move, and I came back last night, and then pretty much all day today I have been solo in the house. And what I learned is that I love that for about 10 minutes, and then I miss that togetherness as you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah. Well, I think that what you just noted is worth underscoring because solitude is one of the things that I think not only helps us become aware of that innate desire for togetherness. I also think that solitude is crucial for us um, for those times when we are together to really connect. And I believe that without ever having time alone, when we're with people, we're not as present to them as they would wish for us to be. We talked about that in blind spots. It's a major one for folks. So let me just say a few things about loneliness. I think it's the root cause and a major contributor to many other epidemics. And I say other epidemics because I want to emphasize that I really believe loneliness is too an epidemic and has been for a long time. I think it plays a part in alcohol and drug addiction, violence, depression, anxiety, and the list goes on. In fact, there are recent studies that indicate that it's one of the greatest growing health crises in the U.S. The bottom line is we're simply better together, each other.
Yeah, I agree. I know we've all been watching the news and so forth, and everybody having to stay home for COVID, and stay away, and you have a little routine in the morning. If I get up real early, in order to wake up, I'll watch last night's or yesterday morning's Sports Center or whatever, one of those. And so the most recent news of the different the conferences that are deciding whether they, have football or not have football. And it was interesting to hear both sides about how the concern for health on one side, the other was the concern for the lack of community and structure on the other side. And
Yes.
and I think that's what you're talking about as well, is that some of these kids, and really everybody, the mental health of being isolated. I think maybe we've underestimated what that has really done and is doing to a lot of people. I don't know which is better. I'm not making a point about one over the other, but I am saying that maybe this mental health of being isolated and alone was perhaps a blind spot that we weren't aware of.
Yeah. Well, one of the reasons this word has been front and center for me are the obvious things I've already talked about. But in the course of the last 6 months, because of that recurring phrase, I wish we could be together, I discovered a book by the title entitled Together, and I'm going to commend it to folks who are with us. After they finish reading Blind Spots, this might be the next book you want to read. It's actually authored by a former Surgeon General. The subtitle of the book is quite compelling: the healing power of human connection in a sometimes lonely world. And that was the title he gave it before COVID. And I think sometimes lonely is on steroids now, because if it was lonely before, all the more now. Interesting backstory: when Murthy, Dr. Murthy is the author's name, when he became the Surgeon General, he more or less assumed, or certainly imagined, that most of his attention would go in the direction of the obvious epidemics that we're facing in our country. And of course, this is pre-COVID, opioid crisis, diabetes, cancer, obesity. List is goes on. But nonetheless, the good doctor decided to do a listening tour and went across the country, meeting with groups of people and asking the question, "What do you need?" And it was during that listening tour that he became aware of the fact that this isn't just a mild problem. This, again, is an epidemic that's affecting the overall health of people in America. And I'm not just talking about people who are isolated, but all of us. I said to a group of folks not too long ago, I think it's safe for us in every encounter to assume that we're talking to a lonely person.
I agree. Sorry, having myself muted there. I agree. And how has that affected you? I know in your um, journey resources, or your times that you meet with people in
Yeah.
regards to mentoring and things of that nature, I guess you've had to adjust. I'm just curious how that has affected even the togetherness
Yeah.
of that. I'm assuming you've had to do it electronically and by Zoom or whatever, but can you talk a little bit about that?
Certainly. I mean, again, I am so glad for technology. How dire would this be if we weren't able to connect just as we are now?
Yeah.
But Tim, we're good friends, and I'm sitting here looking at you, and this is great, but it could be better. Yeah, this afternoon, I officiated a wedding, and one of the things that the bride and groom discussed with me were their wishes about not wearing a mask. And then we had to talk about how close, and can I touch your hand at any point, with the exchanging of rings and such. And so I am finding that I'm able to connect with most of the people that I'm used to connecting with, but I am more weary than I've ever been.
Oh, wow.
It's taking a toll on me mentally, every way possible. I think I am more tired at the end of the day, and it's not because I'm spending more hours, but when all I have to work with is a little box and a face, and I'm used to paying attention to body language, and I'm used to being able to hold hands and to hug necks and to pat backs and sometimes kick butts. And um, so we're limited despite the fact that we have this wonderful resource.
Yeah, I tell people a 1 hour Zoom meeting is like having a 3 hour face to face meeting. In other words, it takes so much more mental and emotional energy. I'm like you. I pick up on little cues, and when you're really trying to figure that out, and of course in technology, I'm fortunate. I have you kind of right in front, so I'm looking at my camera. But a lot of times, if it's not set up that way, people are doing this the whole time talking to you, so you're looking at their ear or whatever, and so it's so hard. What do you just a couple of things before we kind of wrap up here at the end, but what do you tell people when they're expressing that concern or that feeling of loneliness, not togetherness, so to speak? What are you advising to
Well,
someone?
don't sink into the despair. Be grateful for what you have, and um, I do think we are more in the habit of not really connecting when we have opportunity to connect. And so something I'm trying to be very purposeful to do is when I am with a person to not be distracted,
Mm,
to be truly present.
mm,
And if my wife was in on this right now, she'd be pumping her fist and going, "You go, boy," because she loves it. But I think too often I've taken for granted the extraordinary gift of togetherness.
mm.
And rather than sinking into despair, I want to be. I don't want to waste this crisis that we're in, that's distancing us, and I want to be more attuned, more present, less distracted. I'm being very deliberate, and I'm encouraging others connect every day with that small circle of people, regardless of how small or perhaps how large, but that circle of most significant people in your life. Don't let days go by. Connect, even if it's just for a few minutes. But again, underscore, really, really connect. We've already touched on it, but don't ignore the, what we said about solitude, because I think our time alone enriches our time together. And I think looking for opportunities to connect, and one of the best ways these days might be to serve.
Mm.
Um, I sat down and just made a list of folks that it might be good for me to get together with virtually, or folks that I can actually contact in person. How can I serve these folks? And to be open to being served.
Mm.
Because just as we might want to reach out to someone else, allowing others to serve us is service too.
Yeah, absolutely, without a doubt. Well, that's great words of wisdom, and I agree with you. I don't think our world um, understood what a lack of togetherness was was really. I mean, part of it was probably healthy to swing the pendulum a little bit to wake people up and realize perhaps what they might be missing. And I love your idea about being present. And I've always admired that about you. I know also you've told the story of sometimes those closest to us may not sense that we're being present with them, and I have
So
that
been
have
told.
yeah, I have that happen as well. But you've always been that with me, and I've watched you do that with others, and I love that that spirit about you, and I also know too when I get really busy and I'm around people and I get energized by that. But when I don't have that solitude, just like you said, I become less present. And that's a good reminder for me. I hadn't really thought about that today, this morning, being gone yesterday all day, and I got a little behind. I got a busy week. And so this morning I took some time of just some solitude, which I do on Sunday mornings. But boy, I was tempted to just jump in and start doing some things. And I noticed that the rest of the day obviously went better when I held to that joy of just having a little solitude. Still doesn't mean that I don't miss my youngest Ellie and have a little sadness about her being away. But I guarantee I'll be more present when I see her. That's for sure.
Yes. Well, I think the reason solitude is so essential is it allows us to connect with ourselves.
Yeah,
And if we're not really connected with ourselves, then it's going to prohibit us from being as connected with others. And of course, the ultimate source of all connection, the God who designed us in the first place, and that helps too.
absolutely. Well, listen, I know you were very kind. You had this wedding today, and so I know you probably you're still not even home yet. So you were very kind to fit one word in on a busy Sunday. So thank you for that. I love you to death. I appreciate your friendship and your mentorship, and let's get together. We might have to wear some masks, but let's figure that out. What do you say?
I like the sound of that. Great to be with you, Tim.
Same to you. Have a great week, and we'll all remember to cherish that word this week.
Great.
All right.
Thanks, brother. Bye
Take
bye.
care.